Hi there, everyone. Welcome. How are you doing? Oops. It said I was live. There we go. Just want to open my chat. And my phone didn't want to stay on the pedestal.
Phone
Hmm.
stream.
I should never throw it around, not just on stream. Yeah. So, welcome back. I am hoping we're going to see some more uh, mystery tonight. Hoping to actually see what happens to the person we are hunting, because I have a suspicion that there are two storylines going together here. The one is actually the storyline of Jack the Ripper, and the other one is someone completely different. That is not, that is just kind of taking advantage of the chaos. But we shall see. Shall see. Um, and I am going to admit I did have to look up this puzzle, because I'm like, how do I have to restart? Because there's not the numbers. This is not possible. So they told me that you can make it double digits, and it will take the last number
It's a puzzle box.
of the double digits. So in this case, so if I put it here, 7 and 5 will give me 12. So this should be right. There we go. Another 2. There. 5. That's 11. 13. Let's see. That is 6. I think this is right. Yes. 6. Two. 1, so 7. 2.
There we are. Magnificent.
Yay.
This square object is very unusual.
Right, the letter. Here in the information that the boss was able to find out about the client. Ethel loved pink and spoke in a composed and soft voice. At the end, she couldn't do more than whispers, but she was still able to sing some of Schubert tones that she loved. Schubert tunes that she loved. She would undoubtedly have been a virtuoso on the violin if her husband hadn't impeded her. Instructions: pink robe, assorted jewelry, seance planned for 1 week hence, but the body will be taken today or tomorrow by 2 chaps that the boss recruited. This sign of recognition will be a triangle and a square attached with a pink ribbon. No worries, they seem to be professionals. Won't be a problem. Important, mind the quality of your Lime for affixing the false eyes. During seance.
This letter speaks of a sign of recognition. Interesting.
That's a triangle. Red ribbon. Square. Document. Sign of the triangle and a square attached with a red ribbon. Ah, okay.
Holmes, I hear a cab stopping in the courtyard. Someone's coming.
It is probably the dealers, Watson, but instead of running, what if we were to meet them, if we managed to win their trust?
You are joking, Holmes? Oi, what you doing there, you? It's private in here.
Calm down, we aren't here as tourists. We have come to collect our packets.
Oh, well then, you just had to say. I was told that you weren't no tramps, but I weren't expecting that you was... Given your get-up, I guess your boss.
Yes.
Well, the subject ain't ready yet. I ain't done with it yet. You'll have to come back.
Well, that's, a real problem.
Say, we have personal orders too, for some organs. You wouldn't know where we can find them.
What type then?
Kidney, uterus.
Oi, I don't hack up my dollies. That's the work of an artist.
But you wouldn't happen to have a colleague who might furnish this type of item?
No, you can't make a copper doing that nowadays. Since the bigwigs made it easy to get stiffs, the medical schools are bursting with bodies to carve up. Docs and students have got all they need. Business is dead. For a few coppers, hospital bloke might help you out, but I don't know for sure. They'd be right in for it if they got caught. It probably just ain't worth it.
I understand. And what do you do with the corpses once you're finished with them?
I don't bother myself with that. For one thing's for sure, after the seance they're good for nothing but chucking out. I ain't Napoleon's embalmer.
Interesting.
Well, if you'll excuse...
You've got a funny way of talking, you.
Oi, it's normal. He's a brain, you see. A thinker at that. Seize you round, old man.
So, Holmes, the corpses that have disappeared from the London hospital are used during seances. Nothing to do with organ trafficking.
Yes, it all suggests nothing of the kind is underway in London. In the medical world, all dealings would be visible, not to mention unnecessary. The crook we met confirmed this viewpoint. It's hard to imagine, therefore, that our Whitechapel killer perpetrated these massacres with the goal of selling the organs.
What lead should we follow now, Holmes?
Try to learn more about Tumblety. This squibby should give us some information, but first I must stop the journalist Tom Bulling from harming him. I hope my secret police will soon have some information on him. While we wait, Watson, I would ask you to inform your colleagues of your recent discoveries. It would be good if these morbid, ghostly spectacles stopped, and this will need to be done at the London hospital.
You are right, Holmes. Another false lead followed by the police, Holmes? Yesterday's Times says that a John Fitzgerald, who had claimed responsibility for the murder of Annie Chapman, has finally been released. He was, it says, lying.
That's of little importance, Watson.
It's incredible. It's been more than 3 weeks since the murderer struck, and the tension is as strong as ever. The press won't stop talking about him, and people are still full of fear. Perhaps the killer got what he wanted, people talking about him, and has chosen to stop committing crimes. What do you think, Holmes?
I doubt it, Watson. Everything leads me to believe that he is in hiding and waiting for the right moment. The area is packed with police, and that would obviously hamper his work.
You think he will start again, Holmes?
I have every reason to believe nothing will stop him short of his arrest or his death. Sadly, our investigation has reached a dead end, and I fear that we'll need another victim to get back on track.
Yes, how awful. And what of the case of the burnt mat? Have you resolved that?
Oh, that's a matter of little interest, and resolving will be of no benefit, above all to Miss Fleming. Ha! I hear the footsteps of my faithful Wiggins on the stairs. The game is afoot again, Watson.
Mr. Holmes, the scribbler resurfaced. At last word, Pounce saw him racing to Central News Agency where he works.
Excellent, Wiggins. And still nothing on the doctor?
Sorry, Mr. Holmes. He's one sleek yank, but we'll find him.
Good work. Here's something for you. I must leave you, Watson. If I can get my hands on this bulling, I will have much more interesting news on the bothersome Tumblety. I have only to change. If you can, Watson, I entreat you to stay here and await my word. We may not be more than two when the time to act comes.
You can count on me, Holmes.
I must go to the Central News Agency. I am at the press agency where bulling works. A mirror.
What do you want?
It would be very informative to search Bulling's desk before meeting him, but first I must get rid of this bothersome person, perhaps by offering him a scoop. Good evening. I'm looking for Tom Bulling, the journalist.
He isn't here. He must be sleeping off somewhere. He gave me a tip. He wanted to save a scope for me. He always gets a good dirt, and yet when he comes in here, it's just to warm his behind. Look, he pulled his desk over the stove.
Listen, Scoop, I'm bringing it over. Only if Bulling isn't here, I'm leaving.
Wait, what's this scoop?
Bulling promised me a reward for info. There's a charlatan who does spiritualist seances that are a little bit special. He steals corpses from the morgue, puts makeup on them, dresses them up, and then uses them as puppets.
I'll give you your dues. We'll pay you if this info is true.
I'll write down the address of the hideout on the crook's leaflet, but the police will be in on this one, so you better get there in time.
Understood. I'll go alone. Too bad for Bulling.
Hey, you wouldn't have a little something in advance?
Look on Bulling's desk. I know that he always leaves a few coins around for his snitches. Cheers.
Watson won't be pleased that I'm divulging the case, but I don't see any other way. A telephone, a device that enables you to talk with anyone in London, provided the receiver has a telephone too.
Okay.
A telephone, a device... I would imagine these are compartments to organize the paper's incoming dispatches. This is Bulling's desk, the one closest to the stove. Some coins. I will take them. That will avoid suspicion if the journalist returns. This may come in handy. A charred match. These are Bulling's notes. They are of little interest at the moment, but one never knows.
From paper. Permit me to defend myself against the slanderous accusations brought against me. You were not lied to regarding the facts. Mr. Bulling spends all of his time in the most odious of pubs, but I am only doing my work as a journalist. It is during these outings that I can find the best information because I am thus in contact with the common man. Let me prove to you, dear boss, that I can bring to this agency what it deserves. The most extraordinary and most stimulating information for...
Even handwriting, yet fairly recognizable. I need more information. The fire has almost gone out, but the stove is still burning hot. Bulling recently used the stove. The fire has almost gone. Bulling recently used the stove. A torn piece of blotting paper. Curious. Curious. It looks like someone wanted to destroy this piece of blotting paper that had red ink on it. I can make out a few more letters, but backwards. I need something to help me. A charred match.
Coal? Mirror.
By putting this piece of blotting paper in front of the mirror, I can read what is written.
Information on the Whitechapel killer. Call by telephone WA.
Apparently, our journalist gets his information by telephone too. Sadly, the name is almost erased.
Mr. Moore, I have noticed that one of your employees, Thomas Bulling, arrived at the meeting in a state of inebriation. I must ask you to take care of your team's discipline. I know that you indulge this journalist given the explosive information that he manages to flush out, but this behavior is unacceptable. This should not repeat itself or I will hold you personally responsible. The Assistant Director.
Bulling's boss, Mr. Moore, seems to be protecting the journalist. Queen Victoria, to keep the journalists on their toes, I suppose. If I telephone one of Bulling's contacts pretending to be his assistant, I might learn something of interest. This page has some light ink stains. It contains a list of telephone numbers. Walesby 1875, an ingenious way to save his contact. Central, Walesby 1875, if you will. Thank you, I will wait.
Walesby, I am listening.
Hello, my dear man. I'm calling on behalf of Tom Bulling.
Bulling? So you know where this hypocrite, this liar, this...
Not at all. He is currently unobtainable. In the meantime, he has left me with a note asking me to pursue his work, and he told me that you were aware...
That's just great. I dropped everything off at his agency, but he didn't even bother to do the same for me. Tell me he at least gave you the information that I was asking in return.
I am ready, sir. I'm listening.
Do the police have a suspect for the bizarre theft of cigarettes and carrots that took place at the Commercial Street Market?
Suspect. Thank you. How are you doing? Scotland Yard.
I am a ninja.
How the?
You heard the truth.
I broke his neck.
You broke his neck. What? He's still alive. He's still
We're
going.
searching for a rabbit.
You broke his neck.
I broke his
I
neck
kicked
and
him
then
halfway across the room.
liquefied his skull.
That coughs.
I think, according to Bulling, that Inspector Lestrade's team is looking for a rabbit with a bad cough.
Ah, damned Bulling. One day he'll be in some serious trouble for mocking the police. And now, can you tell me, with regards to the parliamentary scandal,
Yeah.
what did the head of the Whig Party respond to the Tories who were treating him as a great incompetent?
Z stream. With regards to the parliamentary scandal, what did the head of the Whig Party respond to the Tories who are treating him as a great incompetent? Vote for me. I will surely be.
According to Bulling, the head of the Whigs said, "Vote for me, I will be your best representative."
Good. That'll make for a good paper. There is one last question. According to a government social study, civil servants make the best husbands. Why?
When he comes home, he is never tired and has already read the paper.
I believe I can confirm that it is because civil servants aren't tired and have already read the paper when they come home from work.
Very true. Good. It seems like Bulling has finally done his work.
As everything is all in order, can you now tell me where the information is that you sent to the agency?
Yes. There is a large brown envelope near the dispatch cabinet. It's in there that we exchange our tips with Bulling.
1,000 thanks. Goodbye, sir.
My salutations to Bulling.
There are several documents in this file. Let's see.
Notes on Spring-Heeled Jack, the Terror of London. Fantastical character, first appearance 1837. Associated with several suspicious muggings and robberies taking place in London and other parts of England. Description: a diabolical appearance, bat wings, horns, blue flames coming out of the mouth and or eyes, etc. Identifying marks. All of the eyewitnesses speak of his capacity to make leaps of superhuman distance, where his nickname. Conclusion: having become to the very example of the urban legend of our century, this character fascinates as much by his demonic and fantastical aura as by the fact that he has never been caught by the police. At the time of the attack against the young woman, Lucy Scales and Jane Aslop, the papers covering the events had record sales for weeks. That's why Spring Hill Jack is the recurring hero for cheap fantasy publication and theatre pieces. Popular and financial success guaranteed.
I wonder why Bulling is studying this tale about Spring Hill Jack so meticulously.
The Terror of London, Spring Hill Jack, Phantom Killer, The Butcher Blade, The Whitechapel Butcher, Dr. Death, The London Ripper, The Bleeder, The Bloody Reaper.
What does that mean?
Mr. Charles Moore, I thank you for this testimony of the Whitechapel Killer that you followed. Not easy authentication. Do not hand over to the press without my invitation. Thank you for your collaboration and your discretion. We won't forget this. Inspector Aberlin.
Well, a piece of information about the murders transmitted exclusively to the police without informing the press. That has piqued my curiosity. Perhaps I should go to the police station to get more information.
Tom, about the letter. Given the thanks from Inspector Aberlin, I think they took the bait, even if they were defending themselves. I think Think of the second. We must be ready if he kills again. Either way, we must keep up the correspondence. Be responsive. This idea will save us. We will get the information firsthand and we will make history. But stay quiet and keep a low profile. I am not really in the know and you will be the first one who gets it if there's trouble. So that's Tom Bulling and that's the more...
What does that mean? I've inspected everything, but there's no sign of Bulling. He must have dashed off to his HQ, the Wasp's Nest. However, before I go to see him, I should find out about this mysterious information. It could help me get something out of the journalist. To the police station, then. Let's go to the police station.
Come, back again, are we? Come this way, good man. The inspector has a few questions to ask you. Here is the man, Inspector.
Congratulations, Humphreys. So, my lad, one would say that you owe us a bit of an explanation for having left something with us. What is your full name and profession?
Sherlock Holmes, consulting detective.
Well, how about that?
Mr. Holmes, can you explain this get-up, your presence in the neighbourhood despite my instructions, as well as this most opportune restitution of jewels?
Firstly, I should tell you that not being under your command, I never understood what you said as an order, but rather as advice. I thought I would be wise to follow them to a certain extent. I intended to explain the stolen goods sooner or later. My presence here will allow me to fill you in on a few conclusions that...
If it is in regard to the Whitechapel murders, it won't help us much. We have no doubt that we will be revealing the identity of the murderer to the people in the area in a day or two.
I'm impressed, Inspector, and I offer you my sincerest congratulations. Nonetheless, you should investigate a certain doctor.
Listen, Holmes, let us do our work. You've rid us of a great pain in the rear end by finding those jewels for us. It's weeks of work that you've saved us. But I think you're a little underqualified for a case like that of Jack the Ripper. Until it's over, I demand that you do not set foot in the area. Is that clear?
I take note of your advice, Inspector. You mentioned Jack the Ripper. Pardon me, but you know the name of the murderer?
Oh, it's from a letter that the Central News Agency sent our way. It was written by the killer. And even if it can't be proven, it must be recognised that the signature is striking. This information is confidential, and I would ask you to keep it to yourself, Holmes.
Can I have a little look? Out of mere curiosity, Inspector. Then I shall disappear.
In that case, I don't see any objection.
Thank you so much.
Chez Patron. I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about leather apron gave me a real fits. I am down on whores, and I shan't quit ripping them until I do get buckled. Grant work on the last job was. I gave that lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work and I want to start again. You will soon hear of me with my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue and I can't use it. Red ink is fit enough, I hope. The next job I do, I shall clip the lady's ears off and send to the police officer just for jolly, wouldn't you? Keep this letter back till I do a bit more work, then give it out straight. My knife's so nice and sharp, I want to get to work right away if I get a chance. Good luck, yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Don't mind me giving the trade name. P.S. One wasn't good enough to post this before I got all the red ink off my hands. Curse it, no luck yet. They say I'm a doctor now. Haha.
Me? Not up to discovering who Jack the Ripper is? Well, we'll soon find out, won't we, Inspector Aberline? I know who wrote the Dear Boss letter signed Jack the Ripper that Inspector Aberline gave me, and above all, I now know why. This Tom Bulling was inspired by this fantastical character to build a myth out of the Whitechapel Killer. Perhaps he would be receptive if I shared my discovery about him and prevent him from accusing Squibby. I must find him at once. My best bet will be to try my luck at the pub.
Ah, Holmes, I got your message, and here I am. What do you think, Holmes?
Perfect, Watson. That oaf Bluto is looking for us with evil intentions, and he may be hiding here. I will try to get more information inside. You, Watson, will be our lookout, and at the slightest suspicious sound, do not hesitate to call the constable on his rounds. Good evening, Mr. Bulling.
We know each other?
No, however, I have some information that may be of interest to you.
Talk, my friend. A pint for you if what you say is worth something. Does it have to do with the Whitechapel murders?
Indeed, I know the identity of the man who wrote a letter to the police, a letter entitled Dear Boss, in which the author claims to be the Whitechapel murderer and is signed Jack the Ripper.
What?
It's a journalist who was inspired by Spring-Heeled Jack in order to strengthen the credibility and the seriousness of his agency. This new Jack will give him some first-hand information that he, in turn, will dole out sparingly to the authorities, as well as some carefully distilled indiscretions that the big papers will come to beg of him. He plays both sides off against one another and becomes the chief orchestrator of the rumor. He wrote this letter in this very spot, and he has red ink on his fingers. Like you.
What exactly are you after, my friend?
You've been threatening a certain Squibby to distribute a telegram naming him as a possible suspect in these murders in revenge for an old feud. I would suggest you don't write this note and that you leave Squibby alone.
I'd forgotten about the existence of that rapscallion. I threw that at him when I was visiting the station to get the dope. You should have seen his face.
You must also stop sending these letters that waste the authorities' precious time.
Right, well, I don't even know what you're talking about. I have a great relationship with the Bobbies. Just ask around. I don't have to answer to nobody. Now leave me alone.
Sorry. It's my glasses. Ugh. Come on. Glasses. Stay. All right.
Farewell, sir.
Good riddance.
Let's hurry to the police station, Watson. We are close to our goal. Squibby will be able to reveal what he knows about Tumblety. Squibby, so that's it. You're a free man again. We were just coming to the station to find you.
Yeah, the bobbies agreed to let me go, and I came to see Bluto before ferreting you out. So, you've seen the newspaper man?
Yes, he is in the pub and everything is taken care of, but I'm waiting to hear what you have to say about Dr. Tumblety.
Okay, but we have to be quick. One night, I goes to see Bluto in his hideout that ain't far from the boarding house where this Tumblety bloke has a room. I see him coming in too. He must have been on one real binge. To the point, the Tumblety fella was there, and he smiles at me, all nice like. He tells me he's a great Yankee doctor, but my business interests him. I'm interested, I tell him, but I'm not the type to just jump right in without getting to know a person, see? He invites me around to his room to talk business, just him and me. We empty a bottle or two, and all of a sudden, like, he wants to show me what he's got in this big trunk that he always carts around places. I just about vomited, see? In these jars, just like pickles, you know, there were pieces of meat. And he whispers that it's the lady bits of some old dames. He called them peckymins. I call them love killers, I would. Yuck. After that, he starts to go on about rich folk. They ain't nothing but dogs, and I won't tell you the worst of it. Then he comes all close to me and puts his sweaty hand on my leg. He was one of them types, not me. I don't wait a second before I give him a good thrashing, and I start running and let go of him, and he still wants to see me again just to talk business. But then I had to do time, so business.
Do you know where he can be found?
Item!
Why, ain't he in his digs?
Yes,
Maybe
it is
you got to like
elementary.
your life behind bars too. I heard that in some jobs there's a way to.
Thank you for your information, and we'll meet again, my friend. Here is the sum I promised to get you out of London.
Ciao, fella. I've just got a little score to settle with Bluto, and I'm heading for the country.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, that was not my intention.
Okay, what's going on here now? This is starting to look like a cowboy standoff.
Lipsky!
My dear Watson, we must strike while the iron is hot. We have avoided meeting Dr. Tumblety until now. The time has come to do so.
Do you have an opinion, Holmes?
We must assure ourselves that the factor collector of female organs and a murderer who removes said organs are resident in the same area at the same time is nothing more than coincidence.
I am enjoying the game. So I think the main thing about these games is that you need to like point and click games, and that you also need to enjoy the puzzles and the storylines that they set out. So I'm enjoying the storylines, and what's nice about the fact that Frogwares did most of these early games is that the environment, the models, and those type of things are all similar. The voice acting stays the same for Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. So you get that bit of continuity, which is very nice. The last one I have, or the two last ones I have, I think are more action-based. So they might be a bit different. But yeah, all these more point-and-click ones I found really good. And this one is really interesting. Crimes and Punishment by Grotto Board after Case 2. Okay, yeah, so I think it's Crimes and Punishment, and then it's Devil's Daughter. Those are the last two that I need to play, because that's last two to come out chronologically. Just gonna do this. So yeah, I think it's depends on your enjoyment of a type of game. So I enjoy these type of games. I enjoy the puzzles. Most of them are relatively simple puzzles. When I played The Room, I'm like, oh, okay, I've had easy puzzles in most of the games I've played. But yeah, I like the storytelling as well. But I will do a tier list after I finish all 4 that are left. That will be then 8. I think that's 8 or 9 that I did in total. And then we can see how it looks. But I am just going to take a quick break. So I'm just going to put the hydration station on. And I will be back in a few minutes. See you soon. Okay, sorry for that. Oh, I just put the arms, the blanket on because my shoulder is feeling the cold and it's quite painful. Let's go back. In.
I thought that you wouldn't bring me back your keys. Oh, it's you, Mr. Holmes. Good evening, Dr. Watson.
The keys?
Indeed, it is I again. One of your tenants left without returning his keys?
Yes, it's Dr. Tumblety whom we spoke about. Shortly after your last visit here, some constables came and asked me a few questions regarding him. Barely had they left, and the doctor came barreling around a street corner and rushed up into his room upstairs. A little while afterwards, while I was tidying, I heard a thud in his room and a rush down the stairs. He left with most of his bags, but without returning his keys. You can go up and see if you wish. The door is still open.
Thank you. D-Man to the rescue.
I'm missing some information. Careful, Watson. Do not walk around here until I've inspected these marks.
I know, Holmes, I know. I understand your methods. Ah, you have your rule and magnifying glass. I thought that you had forgotten them, Holmes.
I never forget the essentials, my dear Watson. Right foot, light trails. The man was running. Right foot, light trail. Size 13.
Ah, you have your...
I never forget the essentials. This isn't water. Going by its sticky texture and odor, I'd say we're dealing with formalin. These are the footprints of a tall man who had recently stepped in formalin and who left this room in a hurry.
Well, can I walk on it and enter the room now, Holmes?
Going by its size, this enormous trunk must be a wardrobe. These brackets are rather unusual. What do you think, Watson?
Let's see, Holmes. These are the names of the battles from the American Civil War.
Let's see. 5 latches, each fitted with a 6-number combination system.
There's 6 dates.
I am under the impression that the dates written correspond to the battles, Holmes, but one is missing.
The motto to victory.
There are a few pieces of a large glass jar in this puddle. The man who left the footprints on the ground must have walked in it while fleeing.
Dear Francis, it is impossible for us to meet again. I'm feeling terrible, as pursuing our relationship further would put both my marriage and my reputation in danger. I must return to that life of love, fleeting and physical, in which a few coins to the young men assures corporal peace and anonymity. These growing feelings that I have for you make me scared, and I would prefer to shun this passion for the fear that my cat is now standing in front of me. No, it's okay. Wanted to get comfy. Um, I would shun this passion for the fear that it may never leave me. Perhaps we shall cross paths again one day in a discreet location where like-minded men meet. I know you frequent them regularly. You never hide yourself. For my part, I will spend more time with my wife and girls in order to find the serenity. And I hope to throw the veil of oblivion over our passionate embraces. All the best, Charles. Hmm. My dear Francis, it is in putting aside our common past, and thus as a friend, that I am sending you these words. I have learned from some mutual friends of your recent trouble with the law. Should be more careful. England has nothing in common with the Wild West, but her seedy areas can be just as dangerous. Your attraction to young rogues will cost you dearly one of these days, whether it be at the end of an alley or at the benches of a jury. A man of your quality and fortune does not have to frequent the hovels and bring his pistol with him everywhere. It is not necessary to use violence to find partners, unless this violence pleases you. Certain circles that we used to frequent are still open to you. Take advantage of this healthy and respectable company, rather than demeaning yourself with these destitute lads. And pray get rid of that god-awful chest. Who knows what people to whom you show, while bragging, must think and speak of it. The man you once loved.
This Dr. Tumblety seems to be attracted to men more than women. That much is clear. So, the doctor has a handgun, and he would use it to restrain young men, perhaps.
Interesting. Do not understand how you found yourself in this situation. Your passionate discussions on the legitimacy of this war should have convinced more than one. I still remember when you imitated him during that meeting. You struck that very characteristic pose and you exclaimed, Vicksburg is the key. The war can never be brought to a close until that key is in our pocket. We all applauded. I am sure that even Lincoln himself would have applauded. During these dark hours, it was rare to have the occasion to laugh. So many deaths ending with our much loved president, killed by this coward and left to join those of the victory at Gettysburg, courageously fell so that the next day the key would be in our pocket.
If this letter is addressed to him, it would appear our doctor is a veteran of the American Civil War. Vicksburg is the key. Now, that is interesting.
Hey, Ali! How are you doing?
Going by its size, this enormous trunk must be a wardrobe.
I'm working with one hand, sorry, because my cat is sleeping on my other arm. Oh, just got home from work. I am doing okay. I'm doing better than I've been doing during the day. I had a migraine for most of the day. So I am doing definitely better. Kitty is sleeping on my arm.
Calm down here. Say, calm down.
Do you
Leif, explain.
Oh,
Explain,
thank you.
Leif.
Do you know anything about the American Civil
Explain
War?
this! This is all you're doing.
The key.
Either them are cursed or this gun is cursed. Either way works for me.
The Union one. Okay. um.
I am under the impression that the date
Okay. I think I'm gonna have to look up this. Just in, not like on the walkthrough, but like on a wiki. American Civil War timeline. Can put out some small info, but I'm pretty sure it won't help. Okay, so let's see. They say in January 61. Okay, no, I don't have that date. February, March, April. Attack on Fort Sumter. Okay, that's that one. When President Lincoln planned to send supplies to Fort Sumter, he alerted the state in advance in an attempt to avoid hostiles. South Carolina, however, feared a check. The commander of the fort, Robert Anderson, was asked to surrender immediately. Anderson offered to surrender, but only after he had exhausted his supply. And on April 12, the Civil War began with shots fired on Fort Sumter. Eventually was surrendered to South Carolina. Okay. So that is 1, 2, 4. Okay, and these flags, that's the American flag, that I know. Oh, okay. That one worked. Okay. All right, so then we're looking for Antietam. The next page, let's go to 60. That was it. Oh. I was just going to ask why the old Spanish flag was at first. Sorry, I don't know the flags. Let's see here. I don't know. On September 17, Confederate forces under General Lee were caught by General McClellan near Sharpsburg, Maryland. This battle proved to be the bloodiest day of the war. 2,108 Union soldiers were killed and 9,549 wounded. 2,700 Confederates were killed and 9,029 wounded. The battle had no clear winner because General Lee withdrew to Virginia. McClellan was considered the victor. The battle convinced the British and French, who were contemplating official recognition of the Confederacy, to reserve action and gave Lincoln the opportunity to announce his preliminary Emancipation Proclamation, September 22, which would free all slaves in areas rebelling against the United States, effective January 1, 1863. Okay. So this one is 1709. Okay. I'll just leave the hats for now. Okay, so next one is to on first. The March of 63. I'm learning American history and I'm reading to you, and you all probably know all of this. March of 63, the first Conscription Act. Because of recruiting difficulties, an act was passed making all men between the ages of 20 and 45 liable to be called for military service. Service could be avoided by paying a fee or finding a substitute. Act was seen as unfair to the poor, and riots in working class sections of New York City broke out in protest. Similar conscription act in the South provoked similar reaction. Yeah, that is a really unfair law. Yeah, but they didn't. I'm awful with American history, but I like history, so I'm glad. Oh, okay, they didn't say yeah. Okay, yes. It was May, not March. Okay, Chancellorsville. On April 27, Union General Hooker crossed the Rappahannock River to attack General Lee's forces. Lee split his army, attacking a surprised Union army in 3 places and almost completely defeating them. Hooker withdrew across the Rappahannock River, giving the South victory, but it was the Confederates' most costly victory in terms of casualties. Yes. Fine. I'm just going to change the, because I have no idea what these flags mean. Or the hats. Ah, okay. Cool. Okay, so the next one was July of 63. Gettysburg Campaign. Confederate General Lee decided to take the war to the enemy. On June 13, he defeated Union forces at Winchester, Virginia, and continued north to Pennsylvania. General Hooker, who had been planning to attack Richmond, was instead forced to follow Lee. Hooker, never comfortable with his commander, General Halleck, resigned on June 28, and General George Meade replaced him as commander of the Army of the Potomac. On July 1, a chance encounter between Union and Confederate forces began at the Battle of Gettysburg. In the fighting that followed, Meade had greater numbers and better defensive positions. He won the battle, but failed to follow Lee as he retreated back to Virginia. Militarily, the Battle of Gettysburg was high water mark of the Confederacy. It's also significant because it ended Confederate hopes of formal recognition by foreign governments. On November 19, President Lincoln dedicated a portion of the Gettysburg battlefield as a national cemetery and delivered a memorable Gettysburg address. Photographs of the battleground began immediately after the battle, July 1 to 3rd. This group of photographs also includes a scene of the troops in Virginia en route to Gettysburg. Interesting. Okay, so that's 07. That hat looks familiar. All right. Then Vicksburg. And I have a 68 and a 71. No, so 65. What they have there, the Potomac's courthouse. Okay. I think that familiar hat is a higher military rank hat in the South Army. You know why I think it looks familiar? I think the one of the people in Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, one of the leaders in that camp where they took the horses, I think he wore a hat like that. I think that's why it looks familiar to me. Okay, so Warren County, May 63. Vicksburg's strategic location on the Mississippi River made it a critical one for both the Union and Confederacy. Confederate surrender there ensued Union control of the Mississippi River and cleaved the South in two. Union victory after a 47-day siege, Lieutenant General John C. Pemberton, Confederate troops surrendered to General Ulysses S. Grant. Together with the Union victory at Gettysburg just a day before, Vicksburg marked a turning point. Just the day before. So This must then be 4.
Elementary.
This is dreadful, Holmes. This trunk contains 4 jars in which organs are floating.
Ah,
Watson,
thanks.
can you tell me at a glance what these organs are?
I would say
Thank
that they
you
are
also for
parts
your
of female
input,
reproductive
Sally.
organs.
Are these specimens fresh?
No, and I am quite certain of it. From the colour and appearance, I'd say these organs have been in these jars for several months, if not years.
Let's go to Baker Street.
Is there someone here?
Yes.
What's going on, Finley? You seem to be in a panic.
The 2 police officers wanted to know if someone suspicious had entered here. The Whitechapel killer has struck again, and if I understood correctly, he killed 2 women in the past few
Whoa,
hours.
2
Where?
women.
I don't know. The police didn't tell me anything.
Quick, Holmes, we must catch up with them.
Certainly not, Watson. Mr. Finley, do you know if the doctor had any other pieces of luggage up there apart from this trunk?
1 or 2, I think.
Do you take care of the doctor's laundry?
My wife does laundry for the tenants once a week. The sheets likewise.
Would you be kind enough to let us know as soon as possible if the doctor shows up again?
Certainly. I'm just worried that he won't be back, you see, and I'm annoyed about my keys.
Holmes, I don't follow. The Whitechapel killer is, at this very moment, very close by, and we are just staying put, twiddling our thumbs.
The Whitechapel killer has always been nearby, and what will we do? Go back to the scene of the crime or crimes and mix with the onlookers and trample the crime scenes even more? No, our time will come. Let's return to Baker Street.
Let's go back to
That
Baker
I have the
Street.
opportunity to share my
Home, sweet
history now.
home.
No, it was really cool, and
We were less than
I think
200
I
feet
must
away
really
from
learn
the
a bit
first
more
victim a
about
few
the
minutes
Civil
before she was
War.
murdered. We might even have heard the murderer's voice, and we haven't done a thing for the past week.
You're the one not doing anything, Watson. For my part, I have been working, and as you know, I've made good use of this week by tracking down and verifying all of the solid facts on these 2 murders to write up the notes that are on my desk, read them over again, and try to gain a bit of perspective.
all right. No. Note on murder of Liz Stride in Datfield's Yard. Note on the murder of Liz Stride at Datfield's Yard. Certain information that I have collected must be verified. Liz Stride, nickname Long Liz, 45 years old, height 5'5", occasional prostitute. She lived for the past 3 years in a stormy relationship with a certain Kidney, a waterside labourer, 36 years of age, whom she left a few days earlier. She charged him with assault but failed to appear in court, and the case was thrown out. The victim was discovered dead by one Louis Dimschutz at 1 o'clock in the morning on September 30th. The man's first thought was to verify if his wife in the building next door was still alive before sounding the alarm. The 2 doctors who came at the police request to the scene of the crime in the moments after the discovery of the corpse put the time of death after 12:46 a.m. Cause of death, hemorrhage due to a throat injury. The weapon was a small knife with a large blunt edge. The verification of the statement is necessary. Could this wound have been caused by another tool? Neither the body nor the clothes were damaged, soiled, or disturbed by the killer. The right hand was open, stained with blood, and resting on the chest. The left hand was on the ground, partially closed, holding a pocket of pastilles. The location of the discovery was a courtyard called Dutfield's Yard, whose doors lead to Burner Street in Whitechapel. The victim was found stretched out on the ground, few inches from the wall of one of the buildings served by this courtyard, the International Working Men's Club. This association, composed mainly of Jews originally from Russia and Poland, were organizing a conference that night on the subject, "Why Should Jews Be Socialists?" presented by Mr. Morris Eagle. The meeting around 11:30 p.m., but many members remained to debate and sing within the premises of the association. An American present that evening declared to have been in the courtyard at 12:20 a.m. and went into the street and didn't see anything unusual. He then returned back inside the club, but his estimation of time spent outside is approximate at best. Two witnesses were quoted by the press: Constable Smith, who was doing his rounds in the area on the night in question, and a Hungarian by the name of Swart, who made his statement at the police station accompanied by an interpreter, because he does not speak English. The transcription of these statements by the press should be treated with caution. It would be advisable, if at all possible, to consult the exact content. Observe the clothing worn by the victim as well. Her possession at the time of the discovery of the body. Clothing: long black cloth jacket, fur trimmed around the bottom with a red rose and white maidenhair fern pinned to it, black skirt, black crepe bonnet, checked neck scarf knotted on left side, dark brown velveteen bodice, two light serge petticoats, one white chemise, I never know how to say it, white stockings, spring-sided boots, two handkerchiefs. One is noticed to have fruit stains on it. Thimble, a piece of wool wound around a cord. In the pocket of her underskirt, a key, a small piece of lead pencil, 6 large and 1 small button, a comb, a broken piece of comb, a metal spoon, a hook as from a dress, a piece of muslin, 1 or 2 small pieces of paper. Note on the murder of Catherine Eddowes. Catherine Eddowes, 46 years old, height 5 foot, occasional prostitute. She had a regular relationship for 7 years with one John Kelly, a man of no regular employment and about the same age as the victim. The victim was found dead at 1:44 a.m. on September 30th by Police Constable Watkins, who was on his rounds. He secured the area by calling to the watchman of the warehouse, located some feet from the... trying to fix my glasses again. It's so difficult to fix the glasses with one hand. It is still on the other arm, but she's warming me up a lot, so that helps. Okay. According to the watchman of the warehouses, located some feet from the crime scene. According to the doctor who arrived on the scene at 2:18 a.m., the victim had just been dead for a half hour. Unlikely, but we know from experience how hard it is to precisely establish the time of death when the corpse has been very mistreated. Cause of death, hemorrhage due to a throat wound. Medical examiner also confirmed that additionally, the extrications committed on the corpse were done post-mortem by a right-handed man possessing a long-bladed knife. The victim was subject to numerous mutilations. The victim was found stretched out in a dark corner of Mitra Square, notorious meeting spots for prostitutes and their clients because of its remote, poorly lit location. It should be noted that the victim was freed from the Bishopgate Street Police drunk tank at 1 o'clock in the morning. Mitra Square was visited at 1:30 a.m. by Police Constable Watkins coming from Mitra Street, and at 1:42 a.m. by Police Constable Harvey coming from Church Passage. The two police constables didn't see anything suspicious in the area, but it should be noted that Police Constable Harvey didn't enter into Mitra Square, unlike Police Constable Watkins. The watchman who came to lend a hand to Watkins at the time of the discovery of the body had been awoken during the time of the crime. His door is located a few feet from the spot where the victim was dying, and didn't hear anything until the police's call. Firstly, we must note that the clothing worn by Catherine Eddowes are very characteristic. I think in particular the patterned green chintz skirt as well as the white men's vest. A few of her possessions, including the thimble, were found around the corpse. The white apron was found on the corpse with part missing. This missing part previously resewn, thus ensuring authenticity, was found at 2:55 a.m. on the night of the murder by Police Constable Alfred Long, who states that the object wasn't there at his preceding patrol at 2:20 a.m. The piece of bloody apron was found in the entrance hall leading to the stairs of 108 to 119 Wentworth Model Dwellings on Goulston Street. At the right of the entrance, just above the apron, was found the following inscription in chalk. The Jews are not the men that will be blamed for nothing. The Jews are not the men that will be blamed for nothing. The Wentworth Model Dwellings building being almost exclusively occupied by Israelites and Goulston Street being the site of a very popular, much frequented market, he decided to erase the inscription before the day broke. Kate Eddowes' belongings, wearing at the time of her murder, black straw bonnet, trimmed in green and black velvet, with black beads, black strings, worn tied to the head. Black cloth jacket trimmed around the collar and cuffs with imitation fur around the pockets in black silk, braid and fur. Large metal buttons. Dark green chintz skirt, 3 flanges, brown button on waistband. The skirt is patterned with Michaelmas daisies and golden lilies. Man's white vest, matching buttons down front, brown linsey bodice, black velvet collar with brown buttons down front. grey stuffed petticoat with white waistband. Very old green alpaca skirt worn as undergarment. Very old ragged blue skirt with red flounces. Light twill lining worn as undergarment. White calico camise. Pair of men's lace-up boots. Mohair laces. Right boot repaired with red thread. One piece of red gauze silk worn as a neckerchief. One large white pocket handkerchief. One large white cotton handkerchief with red and white bird's eye border. 2 unbleached calico pocket tape strings. 1 blue stripe. Bed ticking pocket. Brown ribbed knee stockings darned with white cotton. Possessions: 2 small blue bags, 2 short black clay pipes, 1 tin box containing tea, 1 tin box containing sugar, 1 tin matchbox empty, 12 pieces of white rag, 1 piece coarse linen, white, 1 piece of blue and white skirting, 3-cornered, 1 piece of red flannel with pins and needles, 6 pieces soap, 1 small tooth comb, 1 white handled table knife, 1 metal spoon, 1 leather cigarette case with white metal fittings, 1 ball hemp, 1 piece of old white apron with repair, several buttons and a thimble. My goodness, where did she keep all of these things? And she was wearing like a whole closet on herself. I know it's winter, but still. Mustard tin containing 2 pawn tickets. 1 in the name of Emily Burrell, 52 White Row, dated August 31st, 9D for a man's flannel shirt. The other is in the name of Jane Kelly. 6 Dorset Street, and dated September 28, 2S for a pair of men's boots. Both addresses are false. Printed handbill, portion of a pair of spectacles, and a red mitten. See here. Who discovered... Oh no, it was a man who discovered her. Oh, it's Jane Aslop. Okay.
I have read and reread them, but give me something to do then. A task where I can get stuck in, because...
Find me a slaughterhouse that will give us exclusive use of its block for an hour. And find me, in your opinion, which common animal shares the most characteristics with humans from a physiological point of view?
Pig?
I don't even know why I asked that question. Pray, find a dozen fresh pig's heads, Watson. Not big heads, I prefer small ones.
Sows?
That's it, Watson. As soon as you have done that, let me know. I request that you search in Whitechapel. Who knows, perhaps you will learn something about where Dr. Tumblety may be hiding. There is also no shortage of slaughterhouses and pig's heads in those parts.
That is true. Pigs do share the same physiology, closest physiology and anatomy to a human. Except if you don't think of primates, but of animals that get slaughtered to be eaten. Map. First go. What was the... Nothing. Well, let's go to the clinic, maybe?
What a ridiculous idea to have asked Holmes for something to do. Where on earth am I going to find what he wants? Perhaps that kind Lucy will be able to help me.
Okay, let's go to Lucy.
I must go to Miss Bella's. Good evening, Lucy. But is something wrong?
Good evening, Dr. Watson. Yes, it's my uncle. He's no longer with us.
Please accept my condolences, miss.
Thank you, Doctor. But why are you here? Can I help you?
My request may sound rather strange, but do you know if there is a butcher's or slaughterhouse in the area where pigs are killed?
Yes, Fletcher's the man. He was a regular client, owner of a little butcher's shop not far. But Miss Bella didn't want him to come, as long as he didn't treat his awful sickness.
Can you point to his shop on my map?
Certainly.
Do you know anything about the two latest murders?
Oh, goodness me, no. All the girls in the neighbourhood are terrified. Who will be next? That's what everyone is asking.
Shame.
Goodbye, Lucy.
Until next time, perhaps, Doctor.
Ah, there's Fletcher's butcher shop. Closed
Time
due
to find some
illness.
cookies.
If the proprietor is ill, the butcher's block is probably not being used. Perhaps I can use it. Now, where could a sick butcher have got to?
Clinic.
Yes, if Fletcher is ill, he should be here.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Good evening, Dr. Watson.
Good evening, Dr. Gibbons. I have come to see you because I was wondering if, by any chance, you happen to have a patient by the name of Fletcher, a butcher who would have relinquished his shop due to illness. An illness caught during nocturnal encounters, if you catch my drift.
Fletcher is one of the regulars at the clinic. Mercury treatment against syphilis. A night with Venus, a lifetime with Mercury. He left London a fortnight ago for the fresh country air. Why is he of interest to you?
Oh, no reason. I'm more interested in using his shop, only for an hour or so. Would he have left his keys with family in the area?
He has none left, but he must have left Hardiman, the cat's meat seller, to oversee his shop. They're in business. They're good friends.
Do you know where he can be found?
No, but wander around the neighbourhood and listen for his beeps. He often passes in front of the clinic. Besides
what? This doctor looks like he needs sleep.
it's me that you're looking for, sweetheart.
Actually, no. I am looking for the cat food seller, Hardiman.
Hardiman? Poor Hardiman? It isn't quitting time for him yet. That gives me some time to wander the streets before he shows up, and with him all the cats hereabouts.
Do you know where he lives?
Sure, and for a copper I might even tell you.
Here are a few coins.
You're too kind, Governor. Well, these days I knows that he lives with his mammy on Hanbury Street, in the same place where Dark Annie bled to death.
Why did you call him poor Hardiman?
He's in grieving, of course. Just a few weeks ago he lost his wife, and 3 months before that his girl, poor fella. He was in tatters. Even came to cry on my shoulder, believe it or not.
Well, I must leave you. I must go to Hanbury Street.
I just wish that people would stop screaming. If I can't find who's screaming, I don't want to hear the screaming.
Whitechapel Street.
Oh, I went back round. Lovely. Come on, where's the foots?
Commercial Street.
Hanbury Street.
Batty Street. Berner Street.
What's this?
Commercial Street.
Let's see what this street name is. The street has no name. There.
Whitechapel Street.
Oh, thank you. What is this?
Whitechapel Street. Bucks Road.
Where the other body was found.
Bucks Road. I have no reason to go that way.
Let's go to this. I'm pretty sure I have read Handberry Street. That is true.
I must go to Hanbury Street.
Which is where I've looked at all the streets. This is Bucks Road. And I'll be down this road.
No, it would be better not to insist.
Okay. You can lie down again where you were. I need to see. Please go. Lie down. Please decide where you want to lie, go. I can't see. Sorry. I'm sorry, stream. My cat is deciding where she wants to lie down. While she's doing that, I can't see the screen. The space is not going to become softer with you kneading. You can just lie down. In fact, I would prefer if you just lie down instead of poking me with your nails. Okay.
I have no reason to go that way. I must go to Hanbury Street.
Please, someone.
Burner Street.
Oh.
I must go to Hanbury Street.
Yes, yes, I know, but I can't find Hanbury Street.
I have no reason to go that way.
Yeah, the kitty is taking over the street. She has decided she now wants to lie on the other arm. Run. Run, Watson, run.
I have no reason to go that way. I have nothing to ask.
Do you want to relax a little, my sweet?
That's not gonna work. Box of overtime.
I have no reason to go that way.
Please tell me where Hanbury Street was. It's That's Betty Street, Burner Street. Don't know what this back street name is, if it hasn't. I don't know what that street is. Let me see. I can find Burner Street. Hanbury Street. This is getting ridiculous. Can I? Oh.
This is the building in which poor Annie Chapman was killed.
Beep beep.
There we go.
Beep beep.
Hello, are you Mr. Hardiman?
That's me.
I am Dr. Watson. I have come to see you about Fletcher's shop. I would like to use it for an hour or two, if you have the keys and your rates are reasonable.
Do you want to operate on someone in the butcher's?
Not at all. One of my friends needs it to prepare pig's heads.
Well, why not? Fletcher certainly wouldn't mind, but there's a problem.
A problem? How so?
This morning, the neighbour above broke his key in the door. The old boy must have already had a drink.
So?
Well, I tried my best to unjam it with Fletcher's spare key, which is pretty thin, and bam, that one broke too.
Hard luck. But if you have the end of the broken key, perhaps it can be fixed.
It must still be upstairs. I didn't pick it up. Fletcher has a key too, so I didn't think it was a problem. Fancy, if I just had another key with a simpler blade, I could copy it. I'm great at odd jobs.
Fine, I will try to find all of that. Well, see you later then.
Goodbye, sir.
So back to this.
I have no reason to go that way. Why in the Lord...
I want to go to...
Why in the Lord's name would...
Hmm?
I have no reason to go that way.
Oh yeah, this is some place cats meat.
Oh, no. But what a... Ah, how dreadful. My word. These are innards. Kebabs, the same as Hardiman's. So he prepares his meat here. This bag contains butcher's equipment. Where can I find a key with a simpler blade? On a worthless door, perhaps.
Oh no, please don't freeze. Oh no. Oh no, please. Please no. Could have saved. Gonna give it time.
This key was left inadvertently. Indeed, there is nothing terribly precious inside. But what a stench!
Is my application to save. I'm not redoing everything.
Have you found everything I need to remake the key?
There you go. I think you'll manage with all of this.
I'm sure I will, sir. It won't take me long.
Say, I think there's some of your business upstairs.
Oh, you're right. I ain't had the time to sort it out. Sometimes I'm in such a hurry to prepare my meat that I forget to clean up.
But why do it in the stairwell?
Offal bleeds bucket loads, they do, as you've seen. Now, why would I do that in my own lodgings?
Ah, of course. But what about your poor neighbours?
They owe it to me, all the times I've helped them out. And I don't have a shop either.
There you go. I think you'll manage with all of this.
I'm sure I'll...
Say, you sell animal meat, isn't that right? Would you know where I could find a dozen small pig's heads?
The guy who gets me my offal should have some.
I'll pay your day's wages if you meet me at Fletcher's butcher shop in 2 hours with the pig's heads. Here's a little advance.
I'll do my best, Doctor.
The caretaker of another building told us that the place where your mother lives has a reputation for facilitating prostitutes' activities. Is that true?
Sure, the doors are never closed. They come through here like it's Paddington Station.
By the way, I heard about your loss. My condolences.
Tut, sir. I saw them die slow deaths. My little girl, her face was eaten by the disease.
Thank you, my friend, and please forgive me for bringing up such painful memories.
Go, I must do my rounds, and I will look for what you've asked for.
As for me, I will go and find Holmes, and we will go to the butcher's together. Let's return to Fletcher's butcher shop.
Your heads are on the block inside. Say, you wouldn't be the same chap who bought my whole load the other day?
It's possible, but if you want to continue to do business together, you mustn't speak of my presence in the area to anyone.
Don't what?
Oh, sorry. I think you said, don't worry, I won't speak a word or something like that.
Holmes, will you explain the reason and rhyme behind this masquerade?
Elementary. We shall conduct an experiment that will allow us to answer a simple question. Does the type of weapon used by the killer correspond to a specific profession? And here are our sow's heads. Congratulations, Watson.
You're welcome, Holmes, but what do you really want to do? Take up a collection?
Why is it so slow? So I'm just gonna really slow.
Listen. Okay. What not? Might go to bed. Like you got me. Oh, conversation. It is
Hopefully that's good. Took off some of my lurks. See.
This wheel is broken and prevents the door from sliding. There is nothing further to find in this room, Watson. However, I need some knives. Our only hope is behind this door. This wheel is broken and... This wheel is broken and prevents the door. There is nothing further to find in this. This wheel is broken and prevents the door from sliding.
Okay. So, replace it.
This wheel is broken and prevents... There is nothing further to find. I need something. I need something. I need something. I need something. And here are our sow's heads.
You're welcome, Holmes, but what do you...
I need more information. There is nothing further to find in this room, Watson. There is nothing further to find in this room, Watson. This wheel is broken and... I need something. There, this door is slightly raised. There is nothing further to find in this room, Watson. However, there is nothing further to find in... This wheel is broken and...
Can we open it now?
Elementary.
There we go.
While I prepare our experiment, could you find me 2 knives? A small one, somewhat larger than a pocket knife, with a large, sharp blade. We'll need it to separate the bones and to cut through the thick skins. Then find me a long knife that's at least 13 inches long, no shorter, that's sharp and has a thick blade.
Fine, Holmes, but I'd like to tell you about Hardiman. Do you know that he prepares his kebabs himself, and...
That he owns butcher's tools and uses offal? That's obvious, Watson. Pray, take my magnifying glass and my rule and get started, Watson. Find me these 2 knives.
Right.
Thanks to the magnifying glass, I can find a small knife that matches Holmes's description. Large size. Fragments of cartilage. Fragments of cartilage. Large fragments of cartilage.
Doesn't want to say anything about the small one.
With the rule, I must find a large knife. Size 13 inches. Here are your knives, Holmes.
No, Watson.
Size 7 inches. Size 11 inches. Size 7 inches. Size 6 inches. Size 8.5 inches. Size 10 inches. Size 6.5 inches. Size 6 inches.
Saying anything about small knife.
Here are your knives, Holmes.
No, Watson.
The other one is the only one that's 13.
Here are your knives, Holmes.
No, Watson.
Large size. Fragments of cartilage. Fragments of cartilage. Fragments of large size. Size 11 inches. Size 13 inches. Size 8.5 inches. Size 7 inches.
This one's one small and somewhat larger than a pocket knife. The small sharp with a large sharp blade. Then what we need 13.
Here are the knives you asked for. Be careful, they're awfully sharp. Holmes, I must say that this experiment is making me rather uneasy, comparing animal heads to these poor women.
You're right, Watson, but this somewhat shocking experiment may help to end this massacre and save other victims, you can be sure of that. Look, these pigs' heads are still bloody, which will suit our experiment perfectly. I have a pocket knife and a scalpel with me. With the two knives you just brought me, we have a similar array of weapons as those probably used by the killer. We saw 3 types of throat wounds on the deceased attributed to this man. Those intended to slit the throat, those intended to decapitate, and the more superficial yet mortal wound that led to the death of the unfortunate victim in Dutfield's yard, Miss Stride. With the help of these 4 knives, we are going to try to recreate these wounds on the pigs' heads and see what we can establish about the weapon or weapons used. We may also be able to rule out Miss Stride as a victim of the killer of the other 3.
Sorry.
Let's try to decapitate our victim with these tools, knowing that the killer didn't quite manage to do it.
Charming.
Look, Watson, this little knife with a wide base can easily slice the vertebrae of our porcine friend. The blade of this pocket knife is too thin to reach the vertebrae. With a scalpel, the wound is too shallow. This knife with a long blade easily slices the flesh, but cannot. Let's try to use these weapons on this head to obtain a large deep wound to the throat, like those that were noted on 3 of the 4 victims. This little knife is very sharp and has a very wide blade. This pocket knife is very sharp, but its blade is too thin. The wound is too shallow. Look, Watson, this knife easily penetrates the flesh. Let's try to use these weapons on this head to obtain a large deep wound to the throat, like those that were noted on 3 of the 4 victims. This little knife is very sharp and has a very wide blade. Let's see if these knives can inflict a mortal wound in a situation where a single quick blow is given. The scenario in question is that of Dutfield's yard. Look, Watson, the blade sinks easily into the flesh. In using the cutting edge of this pocket knife's blade, I can scrape the skin. This particularly sharp blade can make a deep gash with one quick slice. It cuts through the flesh easily as the blade is so sharp. Let's try to use these weapons. Let's try to use these. Let's see if these knives can inflict. Let's try to decapitate our victim with these tools, knowing that the killer didn't quite manage to do it.
Charming.
Look, Watson, this little knife with a wide base can easily slice the vertebrae of our porcine friend. The blade of this pocket knife is too thin to reach the vertebrae. With a scalpel, the wound is too shallow. This knife with a long blade easily slices the flesh, but cannot dislocate the vertebrae. Let's try to use these weapons on this head to obtain a large deep wound to the throat, like those that were noted on 3 of the 4 victims. This pocket knife is very sharp, but its blade is too thin. The wound is too shallow. This little knife is very sharp and has a very wide blade. Let's see if these knives can inflict. Look, Watson, the blade sinks easily into the flesh. In using the cutting edge of this pocket knife's blade, I can scrape the skin. This particularly sharp blade can make a deep gash with one quick slice. It cuts through the flesh easily as the blade is so sharp. Let's see if these knives. Let's see if these knives can... Elementary.
I had that.
Let's try to decapitate...
Charming.
Look, Watson, this little... The blade of this pocket knife... With a scalpel, the wound is too shallow. This knife with a long blade easily slices the flesh, but cannot... Let's try to decapitate our victim.
Charming.
Just too shallow.
The blade of this pocket knife is too thin to reach the vertebrae. Let's try to use these weapons on the...
Pick the large one.
This little knife is very sharp and has a very wide blade. This pocket knife is very sharp, but its blade is too thin. The wound is too shallow. Look, Watson, this knife easily penetrates the flesh. Elementary. Let's try to decapitate our victim with these tools.
Charming.
Look, Watson, this little knife with a wide base can easily slice the vertebrae of our porcine friend.
That one would actually.
The blade of this pocket knife is too thin to reach the vertebrae. With a scalpel, the wound is too shallow. This knife with a long blade easily slices the flesh, but cannot dislocate the vertebrae. Elementary. That's it, Watson, the big knife. With respect to the opinion of the medical examiners who noted that a butcher's knife with a long blade would have caused the eviscerations on some of the victims, we can assume, Watson, that he only used this type of weapon as it is capable of inflicting all of the wounds displayed. Furthermore, the Dutfield's Yard murder remains attributable, for the moment, to the Whitechapel killer, if we are able to explain why the murderer used his knife in a different manner. Why not go there now? We will try to reenact the killer's actions that night. Our first objective will be to clarify, one way or another, the statements of Constable Smith, as well as this Hungarian by the name of Schwartz. We must also try to find out more about the International Working Men's Educational Club, underneath which the murder took place, perhaps at the Wasp's Nest.
Yes, let's go to Dutfield's yard or wherever, but quickly. I am in urgent need of fresh air.
I can imagine.
Let's go to the wasp's nest. Don't forget that Bluto may still be hiding here. I will try to find out more inside. You, Watson, must intercept the policeman on his rounds. Given the hour and a bit of luck, it will be Smith. Try to get some information from him.
Understood, Holmes.
Hello.
I know you. You're Squibby's guardian angel. You weren't dressed the same last time, but I don't forget a face. No hard feelings, huh? Join me in a glass?
Your Jack the Ripper is on everyone's lips and written in all of the papers. You must be awfully proud of yourself. You have skill, that's for certain. It's a shame you use it to mask rather than discover the truth.
You better believe that I'm going to find out who it is. I got a hold of old Schwartz's interpreter. You know, the Hungarian who saw Liz Stride get it. Doesn't speak a word of English. And when he went round to the station, another Jew went along to interpret. I found that bloke, and he repeated everything that had been said at the station. It won't be long before I find these fellows.
Why do you say these fellows? Were there several of them?
Do you not read the papers, or what? Well, given the rubbish that you read sometimes, let me explain. At 12:45 a.m., Schwartz goes down Burner Street towards Fairclough, on the side of the road where the Workers' Club is. A bit further from there, just near Dutfield Yard's wooden doors, a chap and a lady are arguing. The Star said that the bloke wanted to push the girl into Dutfield's yard, but the translator told me that Schwartz saw him pulling her towards the road. She doesn't want to follow. He grabs her by the shoulders and throws her to the ground. She falls, bawls a bit, but not too loudly. Old Schwartz is scared, crosses to the other side, but continues in the same direction. The bloke with the girl notices him and yells, "Lipsky!" At the same time, another bloke at the corner of Fairclough and Burner who was lighting his pipe gets in on the action. He starts coming towards Schwartz in a menacing way, and Schwartz takes to his heels, doesn't see anything else. Once he finds out that a woman got herself killed, he went to testify, and identified long Liz Stride as the woman he saw getting thrown about. So there were definitely two blokes, mate. But why am I telling you all this?
In vino veritas. I'll take my leave then, Mr. Bulling.
That's right. Till next time.
If you're looking for some company, Gov, you've come to the wrong place. Me, I'm just here to pour. I don't care who you is, I knows nothing, and I don't care neither.
A draft, my good man.
He looks a lot like Squibby.
Here, sir.
Tell me, was it not a mere stone's throw away from here that the Whitechapel killer struck last week?
That'd be Jack the Ripper, that's his name. Slit the throat of a working girl in a small courtyard over there behind them big wooden doors.
Below the Workers' Club?
The very spot, below Lipsky and Co. I wouldn't be surprised if Jack was one of them, if you catch my drift.
Lipsky and Company. Do you mean to say that someone called Lipsky runs this club?
Nah, it's just that it's full of Jews. In Whitechapel, we call them all Lipskys. Like that Lipsky who killed that girl in Batty Street last year.
Oh, really?
Last year, a Jew named Israel Lipsky killed a lass who was 6 months pregnant by making her drink acid. One trial and one protest by rabbis later, and he was hanging. By those who don't much like him, the Jews are called Lipskys.
Is the term Lipskys used to refer to the Jews in the area, and is this club frequented by Jews?
You got it. Socialist Jews even. They spend their evenings hollering, singing. I've seen them spitting on the bosses.
And you know the victim?
No more her than any other. The working girls don't drum up business too much in this street. They need a reason to end up here.
Very well. Goodbye.
Cheers.
First and foremost, I must find P.C. Smith. Good evening, Constable.
Good evening, sir.
I am Dr. Watson. Would you happen to be P.C. Smith, the man who patrols this beat?
That's me. And you work with the famous Sherlock Holmes, don't you? What can I do for you?
I believe you were on duty the night when the murder took place here. You would certainly be able to confirm a few details, such as the time of death that the medical examiner gave.
It's just that I wasn't there when the body was discovered. I don't think I can help you.
But I was told that you had seen the victim that very night.
Indeed, but it was before the murder. I saw her, not far from here. She was talking to a man. It was around 12:30 or 12:35 a.m.
What did this man look like?
I only saw him from behind, really. He was wearing a short black outfit, a small felt hat like a cap in a dark colour, and a white collar. He seemed to be a respectable type. He was carrying a packet in his hand, wrapped in newspaper, about 18 inches long and about 6 inches wide.
His outfit reminds me of someone that I know. Was he a large man, on the older side?
I don't think so, no. Even though I only saw him from behind, I would say that he was barely 30 years old, or even less. Say 28, or even less. 26 years old, and 5 foot 8 inches tall at the very most. He had a small dark brown moustache and an olive complexion, I would say, but once again, I only caught a brief glimpse of his face in three-quarter profile.
Nobody else saw this man?
I discussed this previously with Mr. Eagle, the president of the Workers' Club. That night he returned around 12:40 a.m. to the club. He used the passage through Dutfield's yard to get into the club because the main door was locked. He can attest that he didn't see anyone else in the passage at that time, but wasn't really paying attention to who else might have been in Burner Street itself. He was listening to the song coming from the club. In short, no one else saw him.
Well, thank you for having satisfied my curiosity, my friend.
A fine evening to you, Doctor.
They just give away all the info.
Burner Street. Dutfield's yard. Your interrogation of P.C. Smith has proven to be very shrewd and of great interest. Thanks to the information I've managed to gather and that you were able to read in my notes in Baker Street, Watson, we can recreate what happened that fateful night at this location, Dutfield's Yards to be precise, the site of Liz Stride's murder.
Okay, so got midnight. Club meeting ends. 12:20. The American got yeah. No one's in 12:30 to 2. Speaking to a man in that.
Midnight, the Socialist Club meeting ends. The members, mainly Jewish men, gradually begin to leave the club in little groups or alone.
No.
12:20 a.m. The American leaves the Socialists Club for some fresh air. The street is deserted. (12:30 to 12:35 a.m.) Smith notices Liz Stride talking to the man with the package.
The man with the package, okay.
"12:40 a.m. Eagle, the president of the club, enters the workers' club via the passageway through Dutfield's yard. He passed through Dutfield's yard. If Liz Stride had already been killed, he would have had to walk over her. The murder, therefore, had not yet happened. "12:43 a.m. Israel Swartz passes by Dutfield's yard and witnesses the attack on Liz Stride. "12:44 a.m. Schwartz crosses to the other side of the road. The attacker sees him and yells, 'Lipsky!' The attacker must have shouted to his accomplice at the end of the road, 'Lipsky,' indicating at Schwartz using his head in an attempt to scare off this undesirable. "12:45 a.m. Schwartz runs away, followed for a short distance by this man.
Pony.
1 a.m. Mr. Diemschutz wants to enter with his cars, but the pony refuses. We know that the murder took place between 12:45 and 1 a.m. Mr. Diemschutz, therefore, must have disturbed the killer. Let's place Liz Stride's murder on the timeline, Watson. 12:45 to 1 a.m. The murder of Liz Stride. It took place in this very spot, as the traces of blood were very confined. We will come back to this point in a few moments to elaborate on what could have happened. Well, we are still missing certain information in order to finish this investigation, Watson. Watson, imagine the victim laid down there on the ground. Her left hand, it is closed around a bag of pastils. Her right hand, it is bloody, as is her wrist. The throat, there is but one clean cut, slightly slanted downwards.
What?
The ground is muddy.
No! No!
Her left hand, it is... Her knees and dress, they are clean.
The bottom of the jaw. All the ground is dirty. Ask you. Victim. Was killed now. Killed upright. Get back to the killer. And a minute. One of the moment up there. And a minute was standing at the moment. Then. The neck is clean, starting from the right, slightly oblique. Fourth. Only one wound. Some had
What? Yeah, holy shit.
murderous. Killer. Skeleton. Right, killer. Right hand. Killer's right hand. Oh? The bloody right hand and wrist wasn't slit. I don't.
We have two possibilities. The first is that Liz Stride's killer and the attacker, seen by Schwartz, were one and the same man. The second is that Liz Stride meets a client. After some discussion, they head towards Dutfield's yard to do their business. As soon as they arrive, the attacker appears while his accomplice keeps watch. Schwartz's arrival dissuades the two men from lingering. They leave the area and leave Liz Stride in a tense state, but glad to have kept her client. He will be her murderer. Both hypotheses are possible, but an incongruous detail will serve to corroborate one of them. An incongruous detail that we were able to establish regarding the Hanbury Street murder. Which one would that be, Watson? Look at the victim carefully, Watson, and tell me the link between the murder of Liz Stride and those of Nichols and Chapman. No, that's not it.
The bag of pastels, Holmes?
A bag of pastels, indeed, Watson. If this woman had to defend herself against an attacker, why would she have held onto this bag in her hand? It didn't fall because this woman's hand tensed at the moment when she fell to the ground. Therefore, Watson, we know the killer distracted his victim's attention by making them take something out of their pockets. Why didn't he slit her throat like the others? He must have feared a struggle with this strong-willed woman. Why didn't he eviscerate her? Because Louis Deemschutz arrived.
Do you think the Whitechapel killer is behind this murder, Holmes?
Yes, and now this murder has been linked to its rightful perpetrator, it will take on deeper meaning when we have examined the facts from that night. Let's go to Mitre Square, where Catherine Eddowes was killed. And make haste, Watson, as we have another murder to commit in 40 minutes. Here we are, Watson, Mitre Square. It took us a mere 20 minutes to get here. If the killer left Dutfield's yard around 1 o'clock, as we assume, he would have arrived here at around 1:20 a.m. We know that Catherine Edow's body was discovered at 1:44 a.m. Catherine was released from prison around 1 o'clock, but we have no information as to what she could have been doing until her death. This place has 3 possible ways out. Let's see where they lead. As a precaution, I brought an old map of the area with me. It will help us get our bearings.
Let's hurry, Holmes. This neighborhood makes me ill at ease.
I will try. Have you? Okay, so we are here. Synagogue. Hero Club, Mitre Square.
This is Mitre Street, from where Watkins, the constable who found the body, came. Church Passage. It must be opposite the Imperial Club at 16 to 17 Duke Street. Let's go to the end of this lane, Watson.
The Great Synagogue of London. I think. Alright, my glasses have come apart again. And wait until they get me my replacement.
This building is the Great Synagogue of London. Hello, you must be Abraham Solomonovich, am I right?
Yes, that's me. But I know you. You brought a lad to my place to take care of a cat, and I loaned you my mask.
That's me. May I present?
Dr. Watson, of course. Delighted. And you? I have known for a few days that you are a detective by the name of Sherlock Holmes. Is that so?
You don't miss a thing, do you? It was the children who gave me away. Am I right?
They didn't want to, but I gained their confidence by offering them a small comb and half a cake.
They made a good deal out of it, so I don't blame them. However, I must request, as a personal favor, that you do not reveal my identity.
You have my word. Curiosity is just killing me, as you may have guessed. Would it be breaking an oath to confide in me the nature of the investigation that you are leading?
Does this spot where we are now in Mitre Square mean anything to you?
A demon lives in this city, Mr. Holmes. These unmentionable acts degrade the human race and put the Jewish community in terrible danger.
Lots of rumors are circulating, but they are but rumors. I see you're leaving the Imperial Club. It's a stone's throw away from Mitre Square, and the 2 recent murders were most probably discussed in there. Do you know if anyone from the club saw or heard anything that night?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. That night, 3 members of our club saw a woman talking to a man at the very spot where we are standing, a few minutes before the body was found, at the end of this passage.
Fantastic, Holmes.
Calm yourself, Watson. There is nothing at the moment to suggest it was the victim. Can we meet these members?
I am afraid that won't be possible. As soon as the police heard the evidence of these men, they were sworn to silence.
I understand.
But you are working for the good, and I must tell you what I know. One of the 3 men, my friend Joseph, left that night with 2 other members of the Imperial Club, Harry and another Joseph. It was around 1:35 a.m., perhaps a bit earlier, when Joseph, not my friend, but the other, the Aldgate butcher, exited. He saw a man and a woman in discussion at this very spot where we are.
These men must have been about 16 feet away from the couple.
That's about right. So Joseph, the butcher said to the other 2, while pointing at the couple, "Look, I don't like going home alone when I see this kind of people here." My friend Joseph looked at them without noticing anything strange and didn't understand what he meant. They had the look of 2 rather unkempt people, but no more than that.
After the murder, did these 3 men tell the police what they had seen?
Not quite. Harry stated that he hadn't seen the couple. As for Joseph, the butcher, even though he was the one who commented on them and pointed them out, said that he couldn't remember anything except that the man was about 3 inches taller than the woman, who was 5 feet tall, no more. My friend Joseph, on the other hand, did his best to cooperate with the police.
And what did your friend Joseph say? What did this man and woman look like?
The man must have been 30 years old, about 5'7", light complexion, and a fair moustache. He wore a loose, dark jacket, a grey cap, and a red scarf around his neck. But he said that he only saw him for a brief instant, and it would be impossible to recognize him.
And the woman?
He only saw her from behind. She had her hand on the man's stomach and seemed to be pushing him. He said that he remembered that she was small, was wearing a black jacket and a black bonnet. After his testimony, the police took him to see the clothing of the deceased, and Joseph said that they looked identical to those of the woman he had seen. Like I already said, he only glanced at the 2, as he was headed with the others in the direction of Aldgate.
One final question. The Imperial Club is a Jewish club, isn't that correct?
Indeed.
Thank you for your help, Mr. Solomonovich.
Bah, it was nothing. We must at all cost prevent this demon from striking again, and the police seem to have some difficulty in doing that. I wish you the best of luck, Mr. Holmes.
This dark and narrow passage leads to St. James's Place. Well, let's find the spot where Edow's body was discovered. Take the lantern, Watson. This dark and narrow passage. I have no reason to go that way. I have no reason to go that way. Watson, we are now in the exact spot where poor Eddowes tragically ended her days.
This spot is very dark, Holmes.
That is probably why our murderer chose it. The head is turned towards the left. The murderer must have been on the right side of his victim. Let's look at her from the front.
No.
The nose was cut. There is but one wound, Watson. It goes from the left side and descends in a slight oblique towards the right side. The eyelids were cut off. There is but one wound, Watson. The cheeks were slashed to make them thinner. The cheeks were slashed to make... The cheeks were slashed to... The nose was cut. The cheeks were slashed to make them... There is but one wound. The main incision goes from the sternum all the way down to the groin. The murderer opened this abdomen as if it were an animal carcass. A kidney was removed. The uterus was removed. A thimble is located right beside one of the victim's hands, just like Chapman's sachet of pills and Stride's pastils. Do these objects spread out by the victim remind us of anything, Watson? Part of this apron is missing. We will follow up on that shortly. These intestines were pulled out altogether to grant access to the abdomen. The inside of the thighs is clean. Once again, there were no sexual relations between the victim and her murderer.
My goodness, Holmes, it was a slaughter.
Understand, Watson, that our killer had neither the time nor the conditions to bother with the niceties. He had no more than 7 or 8 minutes at most to kill the woman, open her up, and all the while in total darkness.
Holmes, it's a woman, a poor victim you're talking about.
Consider all the time this man lost and the risks that he actually took by cutting the victim's face and the lower abdomen in around 20 precise spots, especially the lungs and the liver. These attacks, which I considered gratuitous, are in fact nothing of the sort, and have as much sense as the removal of the organs. Watson, we must now consult our timeline. We began in Dutfield's yard, but this time we will try to recreate the actions of certain people, in this case, those of the 2 policemen.
1:30. Watkins enter my...
1:30 a.m. PC Watkins didn't see the corpse while on his rounds. If PC Watkins did his rounds properly, and there is no reason to doubt this was the case, as he discovered the corpse a quarter of an hour later, the murder hadn't yet taken place, and there was no one in Mitre Square, unless they were hidden among the shadows. Enter Mitre Square via Mitre Street, Watson, and stop and try to see me with the lantern. I will be where poor Edow's corpse was.
I see you, Holmes.
Perfect, Watson. Let's look at our timeline, Watson. Very good, Watson. Thus we can categorically state that the murder had not yet occurred at 1:30.
Doesn't
1:35 a.m. A man and a woman are arguing at the entrance of Church Passage. The man came from Aldgate. 1:42 a.m. PC Harvey arrives in Mitre Square. It should be noted, Watson, that the constable didn't enter Mitre Square. He could not have seen the corpse lying on the ground. But would he have been able to see a man sitting or standing? Go to the Church Passage entrance, then come back and try to see me while holding your lantern. I will stay at the spot where the victim was discovered.
I see you, Holmes.
You had to proceed into the square in order to see me, something Harvey didn't do. It is possible that the killer was still there. 1:42 a.m. PC Harvey arrives at Mitre Square but does not go in. The murderer may well have still been there.
One.
1:44 a.m. The body is discovered. Let's put the murder of poor Eddowes on the timeline, Watson. (1:35 and 1:42 a.m. The murder would appear to have taken place between these times, that is to say, within 7 minutes.
Agreed, Holmes. But does this really prove that our killer had the time to perpetrate these two murders?
Let's look at our timeline, Watson.
20 minutes to go.
There, Watson, we are now certain that the murderer really had the time to commit these two murders.
Incredible!
Let's look at our deduction board, Watson.
Items and items belong to victim with objects. These objects. Oh. Finger on the neck goes from the right, slightly standing. Wind to the neck goes from the right and slightly upwards. The murder is a bit standard. Center incision goes from the sternum downwards to the groin. Murderer cut open the stomach in a surgical, like that of an animal. Piece of with apron was cut. Atmos very orderly. I'm feeling in all items belong to the victim. Search see symbols found right beside. See it is liver and lungs underwent small incision. Nitrous removed. His nose was cut. It is cheeks slashed to become thinner. Eyelids were cut. New and that.
This spot is making me nauseous. Can we not head back, Holmes?
We certainly can't, Watson. We have one final point to address. Do you remember the piece of white apron that was missing just now? It was found just a few steps away from here, at the entrance of a building. That's where we must go. Let's go.
Golden Street. Appropriate name.
There's the spot, Watson. By night, Goulston Street is deathly silent, which will permit us to carry out a fair few experiments. Let's find the entrance where the piece of the victim's apron and the mysterious chalk message were found. There's the spot where the apron and the message were found by PC Long. Now, let's recreate the scene. Remember, Watson, it was raining that night. Find me something with which to mimic raindrops hitting this wall while I write something with my chalk.
The Jews are not the men that will be blamed for nothing. But what does it mean?
Have you found something for us to pour water from, Watson?
Find a container and some water. Let me remind you that it's night time and the street is deserted, Holmes. Water. That may come in handy. Who knows?
Is that just something fun to do?
A watering can. That's what I need. But I can't reach it. A watering can. A watering can. A watering can. That's what I need. But I can't reach it. I have no reason to go that way.
Pole.
An old wooden pole. A merchant probably threw it out.
I need something. Bind these together.
Water. I have no reason to go that way.
Have you found something for us to...
I just need something to...
A watering can. I have no reason to go that way.
Come on. I don't like hearing more scarages
Water.
on cobblestone and not seeing them. Run through this a few times now. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save and then I'm gonna I think I'm gonna write out because it is 11 and I need to bed. I don't want a headache again tomorrow. Ending stream raid. I haven't raided in a while. Oh, spade. Okay, they're playing Halo. They are still looking to become affiliate. They are one of the most unique YouTubers I've ever seen. They are a spade. And they are quite entertaining, so I am going to give them a raid. I haven't raided them in a while. So. Yes, but is the right one. And then I'm going to say thank you to Lord Casero, What's a Bunny, Atlas. Anyone else who is here that is not on my chat list, thank you as well. It has been a joy. I got a bit stuck there at the end, but we will get there. I think we're close to the end. And I learned a little bit of American history tonight. That was pretty cool. So yeah, until we see each other again, please stay safe, stay beautiful, and do remember that I love you very much, and all of you are loved. Bye for now.
Yeah, now focus on that. I don't care about the base. I don't care about the base. Oh, love up. Hey, dude, thanks for the raid, man. I appreciate it. Hi, how are you? How's your stream going, dude? what were you up to? It's good to see you again.